Well, warm greetings and welcome to today's African Leadership Series. My name is Itwa Igodalo, and the first thing I must do is to apologize for not being on the platform in the past 2 weeks. The reason is very simple. I have been traveling about 4 countries doing different things, and then sometimes the timing has not been quite right. So I do apologize, but I'm sure an organization that's self-sustaining, and my bosses have been keeping us going. Let me thank them, Jumoke and Sonny, for the awesome job they have done and for the sustainability of the Tri-Africa Foundation. A lot goes on at the back. A lot of people are not aware. There's Olu to thank, there's Fai to thank, and a few other people also who have been doing phenomenal work in this foundation. Hopefully our green book will be out very soon, in which we're going to be publishing most of the summaries of the discussions that we've had here, so that it can have meaning, it can have impact, and we can begin to talk to government and get government to begin to listen to us and take us to the next stage. Also, we've prepared our work plan for the next 4 or 5 years, and that we're going to roll out very soon and begin to implement it as soon as we can. Today, we're speaking on the topic. Reviewing the state of national security. Reviewing the state of national security in our great nation, Nigeria. And our speaker today, or our guest today, was the former head of Department of Defense and Security Studies of the Nigerian Defense Academy. So you can see that he's very, very well qualified to talk about the state of Nigerian security, having been head of department and lecturing those who are primarily responsible for making sure that there's security in Nigeria. He was also the former head of Department of Political Science and Defense Studies at the same Nigerian Defense Academy from 2006 to 2008. And he was a PhD in Defense and Strategic Studies, also from the NDA, and a PhD in Political Philosophy, Political Theory from the prestigious Pontifical Urban University in Rome. Sounds like that university must belong to the Catholic Church. So having been part of the people who installed the new pontiff, I'm sure he'll be able to tell us how they were able to keep the city of Rome safe at the installation of the pontiff, because somebody was explaining to me the amount of security that went on in there, that large gathering of people, that they even had cameras that identified people's faces, captured their faces, and were able to know those that were security threats or not. So they're lucky I didn't attend, because I'd have been a major security threat, and they would have tried to capture my face. And then you find them holding me in Rome. So he's very, very, very well qualified. He's also a lawyer, an LLB in law from the Nigerian National Open University, and also a specialist in policy, defense, and strategic studies. So let me not say much more than that, so that I don't give a long-winded introduction to this great man. And I'm glad that he agreed to come to talk to us. Let me also thank in advance, it must be one of his daughters who has been helping him with the technology of a Zoom meeting. So he arrested her, and I'm sure he's not paying her for the work she's doing. But I forgive him in advance, and I'm negotiating good pay for the young lady next time, so that she can get the value of her efforts. Please welcome with me Professor Isaac Ozuemenam Mbachu. Professor Isaac, you're most welcome. And thank you so much for coming to speak to us today. Isaac Mbachu, MNI. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. I know that we're speaking primarily today on the state of security, But I just don't want us to start there. I want to start from another platform. And that question is simply this: is there hope for Nigeria? Is there hope for Nigeria? Question number one. Then question number two, how did you find yourself in political science and defense studies and also at the NDA? I know that you taught at the Abia State University, Imo State University, caused a lot of riots by being chairman academic staff union of universities. Maybe you can also give us an insight as into education, university education in Nigeria, and what the future holds and what we really should do about making sure that every Nigerian citizen is educated. Okay. And you have also been at NIPS, a fellow at the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies, where I am told there's a whole bunch of strategy, structure, papers, everything you want to know about Nigeria, Nigerian policy and economy. There's a whole library there that has been done based on research by people who've been through the NIPS, why government is not using the outcomes of the researches of NIPS, or if they're using it, maybe you can advise me. I do not know. So you have a whole bunch of things to speak to us about, and especially the cost of security in Nigeria. Let me also thank your wife, Mrs. Amanda, for coping with you all these days and giving you 4 beautiful children. We are not paying for servicing you or serving you, I beg your pardon. So thank you very much. Tell us, is there hope for Nigeria?
Thank you so much, sir. Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well. So
you can hear me, sir? Okay, yeah. Sir. Okay, sir. Let me start, sir. Let me see my PowerPoint. Okay. Okay, can you give me access to display my PowerPoint?
Okay. Okay. We are going to give you access right now. But does your question speak to the fact that is there hope for Nigeria? Even before you start PowerPoint and security, do we have hope?
There is hope, Pastor. My pastor, there is hope. I am very happy that our leader here is a pastor because, sir, I'm a Catholic. Why we are Catholic is that we are people of hope. There is hope in this our country, and it must surely come in our generation, sir. And it must not continue to be bad. It must not continue to be as we are seeing it now. It will just take a little effort on the whole of us, all of us, not only the government, but everybody in Nigeria to put in his or her best. And Nigeria will be a very, very sweet place, a very safe place. Pastor, sir, each time I travel abroad, after 1 week, honestly speaking, I will be itching to go back to Nigeria. Me, personally, whenever I travel abroad, either Europe or America or Asia, after a period of a week, I would want to go back to this our country. That means there is hope in this country. What this country needs right now is stability in terms of security, because security is development and development is security. Without security, there will be no development. So all of us, led by the government, must ensure that there is security in this country. Once security is settled, once security is guaranteed, every other thing will fall in line, sir. That is it. So go ahead and ask more questions, sir.
So the question I'm asking you therefore is, why is security not guaranteed? And what will make security guaranteed? Since you have anchored our development and our security on security and our future on security. Why don't we then have security? Why is security not guaranteed? Just
Thank
last
you,
week,
sir.
few people all over the place.
Thank you, sir.
At night, day of that time.
Thank you,
So
sir.
restricting you. Please talk to me.
Thank you, sir. There are drivers of insecurity in Nigeria. Several drivers of insecurity. One is unemployment. One is unemployment. As long as majority of Nigerians are not gainfully employed, they will be used as cannon fodder by the miscreants, by the troublemakers, by those that would like to destabilize this country. So unemployment is one. Two, those engaging in religious radicalization. What I mean by that, those who are trying to make sure that everybody in Nigeria must follow their own religion. It's not possible. Here in Nigeria, under the Nigerian Constitution, we have Christianity, we have Islam, and we have African traditional religion. None is more superior to the other, or none is better than the other. Allow those that profess Christianity to profess their religion, allow those that profess Islam to profess their own religion, and above all, allow the traditional African religion to exist. Pastor, sir, when one religion tries to dominate, tries to say that everybody in Nigeria must follow this particular religion, that is the driver of insecurity. And that is exactly what is happening in the Northeast right now. The problem in the Northeast is one group trying to impose their own set of religion on all of us. 3, ignorance is a disease. There are too many ignorant people in our country. Too many ignorant people. Once people are ignorant, they are used to cause trouble. But if our leaders, especially educational system, would ensure correct and adequate education for our youth, teeming youth, if our youth should know their rights, should know their left from the right, from left from the right, there won't be problem. So ignorance, that ignorance, the cure is education. Fourthly, sir, our country is bastardly rich. Nigeria is rich. If you travel abroad, that is when you will know that our country is very rich. But mismanagement of our human resources, mismanagement of our natural resources is our bane. So until our resources are managed profitably, until our resources are managed for the benefit of all the citizens, insecurity will continue to pervade us. Hello, sir. Can you hear me? Hello?
We can hear
We
you.
can hear you, sir.
Okay,
We
sir.
can hear you.
Okay, sir. Because the screen is blank. Yes, sir. Then, fifthly, sir, corruption. Look at our roads. Nigerian roads do not look like roads found in oil-producing countries. Why? Because of corruption. We have money to put our roads in order. We have money to put our universities in order. We have money to put our hospitals in order. We have money to put our airports in order. But corruption fritters away the resources. So corruption is the canker worm. Corruption in Nigeria is the cancer, is the burn. Until all of us fight corruption, we will not make any headway. Sir, let me tell you, sir, when I say corruption, it's not only the corruption of the leaders. No. Most Nigerians are corrupt. In the school, in the government, in the hospital, even along the road, along the streets, Nigerians are corrupt. Unfortunately, we claim to be religious, but at the same time, superbly corrupt. So corruption robs us of our patrimony. Corruption must be fought headlong. And of course, it is said that when you fight corruption, corruption fights back. But there must be political will. There must be that defined political will to engage corruption headlong. Number 6, another problem that draws us back and creates instability and insecurity in Nigeria is nepotism and tribalism. Until we call all of us Nigerians, until we know that we are all citizens of this beautiful country, until we remove tribalism, until we remove nepotism, sir, we will continue to be in a rat race. We will continue to be in a rat race, and insecurity will continue to grip us. Go ahead, sir. Go ask more questions, sir.
But you've mentioned all these things as drivers of security.
Yes, sir.
Ignorance,
yes, sir.
Religious radicalism or whatever.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Management of resources, corruption, and nepotism. How do we fight all these things? What do we need to do to fight them as Nigeria?
Yes. Thank you, sir. When that is where leadership and followership plays an important role. Sir, when I say leadership, I do not mean political leadership alone. I do not mean military leadership alone. I do not mean the leadership of security agencies alone. Every one of us in Nigeria is a leader. And until leaders know their responsibility and do the right thing, we will not escape from this rat race. Secondly, followership must also play their role. Followership must know their rights and responsibilities. When the leaders are not delivering the deliverables, the followership should demand for it. But at the same time, the followership should also contribute their own quota. So it takes two to make a tango. The leadership, there is leadership deficit in the country, sir. Leadership deficit. Not only political leadership, educational leadership, transport leadership, religious leadership, family leadership. Name it, sir. There is serious leadership deficit. At the same time, there is also followership deficit. Because, let me give you examples, sir. During the election, you give people a cup of rice, a loaf of bread, bag of rice. They will not vote in the right person. They will take bribe in form of rice, in form of money, and allow people that are not qualified to lead them to be leaders. Have you seen it, sir? That not only the leadership that should be blamed, but also the followership has a role to play. The followership should be blamed. Thank you, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Very good. Thank you so much for blaming me for Nigeria's problem, since I'm part of it.
I blame myself. I mentioned education, sir.
Thank you for blaming me and passing. But the question still is this: how do we resolve this problem of followership and leadership? What do we do? We've been on 1960 as an independent nation, so-called. We've been on this road before Jesus Christ came to this world. We've been on the road even before colonialism came. How come we're not able to get it right? Even before the colonialism, well, if we got it right, how did we get it wrong? So what do we do? You know, we all know leadership is a problem, followership is a problem. The leaders or the followers get the leaders they deserve. What do we do? And then when you that question, and you must answer it successfully, otherwise
it's all right, sir.
You're going to enter the same trouser. Then you can then go to your slide if you have some slide presentation for us, and let us hear what you have to say. But today we must solve the problem of Nigeria.
Thank you, sir.
Solve the insecurity. You went to Kuru, you've been to NDA, you've been everywhere. Most of those people who are leading Nigeria today, they are passed through your hands. You have lectured them. They are your pupils. Most of them have this badge they wear all over the place. You must explain to us what we have to do to get this nation right.
Okay, sir. Let me use 2 or 3 examples. Singapore, the country called Singapore in Southeast Asia, got independence from Malaysia in 1965. As at 1965, sir, Singapore was like a Bayelsa state, a marshy kind of peninsula or island. But it took one man called Lee Kuan Yew. Lee Kuan Yew in 1965 became the prime minister and later the president of Singapore. And Lee Kuan Yew sat down. There's what we call round peg in a round hole. Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew, later President Lee Kuan Yew, chose the right people without minding where they come from. He chose the best. And the slogan was, let the best of us rule the rest of us. Let the best of us rule the rest of us. From the beginning, Lee Kuan Yew chose the best. And within 2 years of their independence, a minister was invited somewhere for holiday by a businessman. The minister didn't pay money, and he did not use government money. The only thing is that a businessman invited him, paid for the holiday. On arrival from the holiday, that minister was arrested. What was his crime? His crime is that for being invited by a businessman, he has compromised his position as a minister. He was jailed. After that incident of a minister being jailed, other ministers learned a big lesson. And from that moment till today, Singapore remained one of the best governed countries in the world. Until his death, President Lee Kuan Yew lived in a street with other people. There was no special place for him. And he lived there until his death about 3 years ago. President Lee Kuan Yew, when he's moving, there's nothing like convoy. But there were 2 security details, police, 2 policemen following a president. Go to Singapore today and see the changes. Another example I want to give you is Rwanda. 1974, Rwanda suffered, 1994, Rwanda suffered terribly. Rwanda suffered that is the Tutsi and the Hutu genocide that took place. After that genocide in 1994, Rwanda rose from the ashes under one man called Paul Kagame. Paul Kagame brought in the best leaders, best ministers, and Paul Kagame did not steal money and stash abroad. He was upright. If you go to Rwanda today, Rwanda looks like a European country in Africa. You see, one country from Southeast Asia, one country from Africa. I don't want to mention Maldives and other countries in Africa. So what I am still saying is that there is hope. If we have the right people, the people that will deny themselves what politicians in Nigeria are enjoying today. I'm not saying I'm not saying that politicians shouldn't enjoy, but a situation where a senator is the difference between the senator salary and the general salary, or the difference between professor salary and the senator salary is miles apart. That country cannot make any progress. So leadership, once again, is important as followership. So I have given you two examples, Singapore and Rwanda from Africa. Go ahead, sir.
Well, thank you for those examples, and you have mentioned that those examples turned around because of one man. For Kagame
and Lee Kuan
Yew, and so a group of men who came together who took certain decisions. Maybe you have the answer, maybe you do not. But what is the process that brought up a Lee Kuan Yew? What is the process that brought up a Paul Kagame? Is there a possibility that we can bring up our own Lee Kuan Yew? Somebody democratic governments, they are actually democratic governments. There are some form of democratic governments. So there are elections held in Singapore. There may be a one-party state, but they do elections. And same thing with Rwanda, there are elections held there. Okay, Kagame has been able to extend his term one way or the other. So what is the thing that threw up a Lee Kuan Yew? What threw up a Kagame? I dare even say what threw up an Nkrumah in Ghana, and maybe Jerry Rawlings. How can we get something in Nigeria that will give us our own Kagame, our own man, our own Kuan Yew? How come Nigeria keeps failing? And the least qualified to lead the most qualified. That's what seems to be happening in Nigeria. We can look at the trajectory of Nigerian historical leadership, history of Nigeria's leadership. How come in Nigeria we all seem to combine together and manipulate the system and agree to allow the system to produce for us people who are sometimes least qualified, so people who are not as well qualified, people who are not competent and capable, or people who sometimes are not even willing to come into leadership. But we all come together and manipulate the process to produce the weak ones amongst us to be our leaders. What happened? And in the case of the military man just jumps in there and makes himself leader, or the basis we do not know. So please answer that question. How do we put in a system as Nigerians, you and myself, to ensure that we get a Kagame or a Lee Kuan Yew as our leader?
Thank you, sir. Two things, two prominent things. One is here in Nigeria, we lack what is called sincerity of purpose on the part of our leaders and followers. Sincerity of purpose. There is nothing like sincerity of purpose that is found in Singapore, in Nigeria. There is nothing like sincerity of purpose that is found in Rwanda. None. All of us, we lack that thing called sincerity of purpose. It is the sincerity of purpose that would make you to vote against your father if there is any other person better than your father. It is the sincerity of purpose that will make you to vote against your tribesman if there is another person better than your tribesman. Sir, that is one thing we are lacking completely in our country. Our country, we are jesters, we are charlatans. We don't have sincerity of purpose either on the part of our leaders or on the part of the ruled. Secondly, sir, I mentioned that the slogan in Singapore, in Rwanda, is let the best of us rule the rest of us. I think here in Nigeria, sir, the opposite is the case. Let the best of us rule the rest of us until we imbibe that philosophy, the philosophy of the let the best rule the rest. We will continue to go round and round and round. I'm just giving you two things. And that if we follow these two things, that is sincerity of purpose and the philosophy of let the best of us rule the rest of us. So if we follow these two, we'll be like Singapore. Nigeria is so rich, sir. Nigeria is bastardly rich. And I don't blame Gowon that said in 1970, around 73, that our problem is not money, but how to spend it. I now realize why Gowon said that. Because Nigeria is bastardly rich, but we don't know how to invest our fortune. We don't know how to invest our natural resources.
No problem. You had a slide, sir. Do you still want
Yes,
to
sir.
present the slide of events overtaking that?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. I think it's from your side that you give me permission to present the slides, sir.
Given our ladies there, my daughter should be able to explain to me what to do.
Okay. She's help me to put the slide.
Oh, that's the best of your family, sir. I can see how pretty she is.
My pastor. Okay. The first one. Let me put the introduction. Okay. Yeah. Okay, introduction, sir. I feel highly honored to be invited to this interactive session at this prestigious 3 Africa Empowerment Foundation's leadership program to share some thoughts with the distinguished and leading thought leaders, experts, and stakeholders who are gathered here this evening to examine the current challenges facing Nigeria, identify opportunities for improvement, and propose strategies that can positively impact the economy and overall well-being of our society. I sincerely thank the president of 3 Africa Empowerment Foundation, Pastor Itua Igodolo, and his executive assistant, Mr. Fire Ransom Otaji, for this invitation to talk on the state of national security in Nigeria. This topic is apt because Nigeria is grappling with severe internal conflicts marked by violent extremism, insurgency, and a range of criminal and terrorist activities such as Boko Haram, banditry, kidnapping, farmer-herder clashes, urban and cyber crime, that is Yahoo Yahoo, etc. The security in Nigeria has become increasingly complex, uncertain, and further exacerbated, especially where various non-state actors or non-state armed groups have emerged and consolidated coercive power to terrorize the population, as evident in the activities of the armed bandits, criminal gangs, Islamic fundamentalists, amorphous kidnappers, and many others often referred to in the Nigerian media as unknown gunmen. These actors differ in their objectives, tactics, and operational activities. Global Center for Responsibility to Protect 2022 observed that because of the activities of non-state armed groups targeting the civilian population in Nigeria and its attendant security consequences, there are more than 8.7 million people in need of immediate humanitarian assistance in the country. Amidst Nigeria's growing security challenges, Boko Haram and banditry have emerged as the most potent threats, characterized by armed attacks, cattle rustling, kidnapping for ransom, and other criminal activities. Nigeria's northwest and north central geopolitical regions are among the most affected by a multi-layered crisis rooted in long-standing tensions between ethnic and religious groups and attacks by criminal groups and armed bandits who specialize in activities such as kidnapping and robbery in the ungoverned spaces and along major highways. The aim of this paper is to highlight the state of national security in Nigeria and share my views with the leading thought leaders, experts, and stakeholders who are gathered here this evening to examine the current challenges facing Nigeria, identify opportunities for improvement, and propose strategies that can positively impact the economy and overall well-being of our society. Scope, as shown on the slide. Conceptual clarification. National security. National security entails the provision of human needs and protection of a nation's territorial integrity, sovereignty, interests, and core values against any threats. This covers all the aspects of political stability, human, environmental, food, cyber, and economic security, as well as the maintenance of law and order. National security is a state of trust on the part of the citizen that the risk to everyday life, whether from man-made threats or impersonal hazard, are being adequately managed by the state to the extent that there is confidence that normal life can continue. Theoretical framework. This paper shall rely on two theories, which are socioeconomic exclusion theory and frustration aggression theory. These two theories are found relevant in this discourse based on the dynamics of the subject. These theoretical strands will provide the basis for analyzing Nigeria's precarious national security. But I shall not go into details now. Let me just let me just advance to the main,
The
yes.
main thing, if you went
Yes.
to the meeting and said to us, these are the issues and these are the suggested solutions to
Yes, sir.
solving security problems, I think that
Yes,
will
sir.
do well. And
Yes,
then
sir.
we'll begin to take
Yes, sir.
questions from
Okay.
various people.
Here we have the issues, that is institutional and structural challenges.
Yeah.
Here we have poor policing and intelligence coordination.
Yeah.
Nigeria's police force is underfunded, and it's true. Nigeria's police force is underfunded. The money given to New York Police Department is more than the entire Nigeria's police force. So on the trend, on the overstretched, coordination between security agencies, that is military, DSS, police, NSCDC, is often poor, resulting in intelligence failure. Corruption within the security sector undermines operational effectiveness, leads to poor troops' morale, and foster impunity. Nigeria suffers from unchecked arms smuggling across porous borders, contributing to the lethality of criminal and insurgent groups, slow or failed prosecution of terrorists and criminals lead to a culture of impunity and public trust in the justice system. A high rate of youth unemployment fuels recruitment into criminal and insurgent groups. Widespread poverty, especially in rural areas, contributes to crime and radicalization. Low literacy and limited access to quality education in conflict-prone areas make population vulnerable to extremist ideologies. Way forward, security sector reform.
You're breaking, sir.
Yes, sir. Just 5 minutes. Way forward, security sector reform. Police reform and community policing. Professionalizing and expanding the Nigerian police force and adopting genuine community policing can improve trust and local intelligence gathering. Improved coordination. Federal government should establish a central national security coordination agency to harmonize intelligence and operations across all security services. Accountability. Federal government should enforce accountability and transparency within the armed forces and police, including independent oversight bodies. Socio-economic intervention, job creation and skill development. Government should expand youth-focused vocational training, digital economy opportunities, and entrepreneurship schemes. Poverty alleviation. Government should strengthen and monitor social intervention programs targeting the most vulnerable population. Education and de-radicalization. Government should invest in accessible education and civic education and rehabilitate former insurgents and criminals through structured de-radicalization program. Regional and international cooperation. Government should strengthen ECOWAS security collaboration. Nigeria should deepen cross-border intelligence sharing and joint operation against terrorist networks. Federal government should work with international partners to block illicit arms flow and enhance border security infrastructure. Surveillance and intelligence technology. Nigerian national security agencies should deploy drones, satellite imaging, biometric tracking, and AI-based analysis for surveillance and early warning systems. Cybersecurity. Federal government should strengthen Nigeria's capacity to detect and respond to cyber threats, particularly those targeting national infrastructure and youth. National unity and dialogue. Federal government should, as a matter of urgency, initiate and implement structured dialogue platforms for addressing regional grievances, including restructuring debates, state policing, and fiscal federalism. Promote national integration. Federal government should reinforce inclusive governance, equitable resource distribution, and civic education to reduce ethno-religious divisions. Conclusion. Nigeria's security situation is complex, shaped by intertwined political, economic, and social issues. Addressing it requires a comprehensive, multi-pronged approach that goes beyond military solutions. With political will, institutional reform, and citizen engagement, Nigeria can overcome its security challenges and build a stable, prosperous future. Thanks for your rapt attention. The references are shown on the slide. Questions, sir. Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you very much for that well-prepared paper and the deep research. There's only one question I asked for you, and I'm going to be inviting Pastor Sonny and Jumoke to take the Q&A. And the question is, you said with political will. I don't see the political will, and I don't know how we're going to get the political will. All these things that you have explained and said, our government knows it. I'm sure they've heard it from you, being their lecturer. I'm sure they've heard it from a lot of people, but they have refused to do it. They keep wasting money on security architecture and embezzling most of the money, I'm told, one way or the other. People make returns to people who give them the allocation. You said our police is not well trained. Everybody knows that. And we're not allocating enough resources to that. Our educational system is in shambles. Everybody knows that. We're not allocating enough resources to that. Our infrastructure is poor. Everybody knows that. We're not allocating enough resources to that. And a lot of money is going into corruption and is going into vote buying and elections and all manners of things like that. How do we ensure that we have political will among our people? Is the question.
Thank you, sir.
Or how do we ensure we the right kind of people who will implement that which you have said? And I'm going to stop myself at this point and ask my other people to take on the Q&A. Thank you, sir. Please.
Sir, can I answer?
Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sir, I am sure that in the next 2 years, there will be another round of election. With electoral reform and electronic voting, this time around, nothing like glitches, technical glitches. Sir, there is hope. Honestly speaking, I have a lot of hope for this country. There is hope, sir. The hope can come, Nigeria can be transformed within our lifetime. By the time through the electoral system, the right people are elected everywhere, right from local government up to the presidency. So there will be turnaround. There will be turnaround. Secondly, if we and the government, that's we, the people and the government, believe in let the best of us rule the rest of us, things will get better quicker than we can imagine. Let the best of us rule the rest of us without minding whose ox is God, without saying that this person is Igbo, this person is Yoruba, this person is Bini, Edo, this person is Hausa, this person is Fulani. Without minding that, let the best take on the mantle of leadership and things will get better, sir. Sir?
No, it's okay. Good afternoon, Prof, or good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, okay. My name is Sonny. If you can ask your daughter to help you remove the presentation, which we are done with, so that we can see you as we engage.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
So that
okay. Miracle.
let her disengage that. But while she's doing that, I thank you very much for taking your time to speak to us.
Yes, sir.
Your CV is obviously very, very rich, and we believe that you should know a thing or two about security. We have quite a lot of hands. I'm sure people really, really want to engage because the question of security is paramount today in Nigeria. We would assume we have made progress. Although you have just given very, very, in my view, and I will let the other people that may ask you questions determine.
Can you see me? Can you see me?
We can see you, but
I can't see this thing is void. I can't see you, sir.
yeah, I don't know. On pin, Pastor Itwa, let the speaker speak.
Okay.
On pin, Pastor. Okay, great. We can see you now.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, we can see you now better. Don't pin him either. Just
Okay.
the speaker will speak. So I believe people will have some pushbacks and challenges. You haven't really told us specifically what to do. You've spoken in very general terms. Today, there are killings in Benue, in Plateau. You say is religion, is leaders, corruption. We know all of this, and what we are really hoping to hear from experts like you is let's put our finger on where the issue is and who is to blame for what. You keep saying all of us. I don't have anything to do with that security. Okay, we spend billions every year giving to the army, the navy, the air force, and every year we see how they take the money. What do we do to them? But I don't answer my question. Just leave my question alone. Let's go to the people that are on the platform. They have questions for you, and we will take 3 questions at a time. 3 questions at a time. We have about 6 people here ready for questions. The first person is Boniface Chizia. Do you have a pen and paper to note the questions? Can we take?
Yes,
3?
sir. I have
Okay.
I have pen and paper, sir.
All right. So we have Boniface Chizia, and then we'll take Antonio Sass, and then we'll take Yemisi Ransom Kuti. So, Dr. Boniface, go ahead, sir.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Prof.
Okay.
Well, okay. Yes, I'm listening to you, and we talk about is it leadership, is it leadership, and so on and so forth. But your example points to the fact that his leadership, has the cake. You gave example of Singapore and then Kigali and so on. But see, what I wanted to say to us in this country is the problem we have in this country is leadership selection. It's not too about it. And so unless and until we get leadership selection right, unless and until we stop impunity in the land, we're not going to make any progress. And what we need to do, like you mentioned in your comments, is that we must get a election process, we must have it right. Now, for as long as there's no people are not selected based on what the wish of the people, it's been manipulated, then we are in a rut, and we're not going to get out of it. So we must have the head of INEC. He has to be independently selected. We cannot have a situation where the head of INEC is being appointed by the president. He becomes beholden to him. And so that's the basic start. So we have a situation where it's advertised, and a group of people are eminent people with credible credentials, who have some qualifications and background, to keep in that committee, and people are called and interviewed and they're selected. That would be the first point. If we don't do that, we're not getting anywhere. And like you did say in your presentation, it has to be electronically transmitted. Otherwise, we have manipulation. So for as long as you have people are not being elected based on what they've done in office and it's been hijacked, then you have this impunity. You have the money is being embezzled. So you vote money for security, and those in the heads of security, what's been happening? They hijack this money and use it for selfish purposes, and nothing happens. So you see, corruption is being reported everywhere in this country, and nothing. There are no consequences. Look at all the governors that have been indicted. They indict them. Yahya Bello is young. So many of them indicted. They indict them. Nothing happens. You hear about it a few months. There's some noise about it, confused noise. All of us are in a confused state, and quietly it's all, So you have this now rush to APC, because we've been told, if you sin, once you join APC, your sins are forgiven. So we must get that. Everything problems we have is leadership selection. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you.
Chizia.
Thank you so much, Bonnie.
Okay, you want to
Boniface,
answer that?
thank you for your valid comments. I share, in fact, everything you said here, I share with you. They are correct. But in the case of INEC chairman, I think it is going to be part of the electoral reform.
Yes.
The National Assembly will have to decide whether INEC should be independently selected or elected. So that one is part of the electoral reform. Okay.
Yes.
And
But what will you recommend? What will you recommend? Whether National Assembly to decide or not, what would you recommend?
Oh, that's good. That's good. I just like what I said about the electoral reform. I am recommending that the National Assembly should look into it and take appropriate decision on it. Something that what they know that is best for the country. That's what I recommend.
Okay.
That is going to be part of the electoral reform. Yes.
Okay, let's take other questions so that you can take. So we'll take Antonio Sass. Unmute Antonio Sass.
Okay.
Then we take Auntie Yemi Siran Samkuti. Antonio Sass, go ahead with your question, please.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you clearly.
Okay, thank you, Prof, for your presentation. Just a question, not a comment.
Okay.
The moderator took it virtually out of my mouth when he requested specifics from you. A lot of the things you said were rather generic, particularly when you mentioned de-radicalization. We hear, it's out there almost every day in the public space by people who manage our anti-terrorism efforts, that a lot of the radicalization is happening in the Northeast. Young people who got involved in these, things that they're doing to harm the country are being radicalized, according to those who manage that effort. But the question then is, what are they doing that they shouldn't be doing with respect to that effort? Or what are they not doing that they should be doing? Or what are they doing that they're not doing well? So that's why I said maybe, the issue of specifics, maybe you didn't have enough time, but I'll be very glad to hear what is happening now in the Northeast concerning, or by the military concerning the radicalization, and what we're doing that we shouldn't be doing, or what we are not doing that we should be doing, so that effort can be prospered, So thank you very much, Prof.
Thank you very much, Antonio.
Thank you, Antonio.
Let me take Auntie Yemisi, and then you can combine those three questions. Yemisi Samkuti.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Pastor. Good afternoon, Professor Mbachu.
Thank you.
Great presentation. But a lot of what I hear is the theory of the problem and the theoretical solutions. The practicality is what I want to kind of tease your mind about. For instance, in Lagos State, the effective structure for security is the Lagos State Trust Fund that puts a lot of money in the security architecture, and the Neighborhood Watch template where in every neighborhood, even though most of us don't know about it, there are people who are not uniformed, who are paid to secure the environment. The challenge in the Lagos model is, of course, some of these actors also become a bit lawless, and there's no, well-known guidelines and framework to monitor their activities. So I want you to speak to, the Lagos model and whether such models can work at the local government in terms of community policing, the Amotekuns, the northern, I can't remember what that is called. That's one aspect. Then the second aspect I want you to answer for me is that a lot of people believe that if you have a different model at the federal level, the patriots are asking for what do they call it? Federalism, fiscal federalism. There's a name they call it, which I can't recall right now. But people are asking for a different model of governance that will deliver the promised land. I want to find out from you whether you think the model is the problem, and even if we change the model, we'll get a different outcome. And what would you recommend as the framework for governance in Nigeria? Thank you so much for your insightful presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me let the Prof take a bite at those three questions. We still have many more questions. Prof, you want to respond?
Thank you very much. First of all, Antonio Osas, the issue of de-radicalization in the Northeast. Honestly speaking, before I go on, I should praise the Nigerian Armed Forces. Nigerian Armed Forces is the erudite gun that holds this country together. Without the Nigerian Armed Forces, this country would have scattered. So I praise the Armed Forces of Nigeria. Then we have what we call kinetic response and non-kinetic response in managing both insurgency and insecurity in the northeast, northwest of Nigeria. The armed forces has a duty to manage the insecurity through kinetic approach. Then the state government or the federal government, as the case may be, apparently, has the duty to use non-kinetic approach, various non-kinetic approach. So when you radicalize the insurgents, the terrorists, the criminals, but there is not enough job for them, they may relapse. They may go back to where they were, where people were paying them even in dollars. So the issue here now is the economy. Nigerian economy is not performing well. As long as Nigerian economy is not performing well, issue of insecurity will continue. Let me give you an example, please. If you come to Kaduna State, Kaduna Metropolis, for instance, we have, I think the largest GRA in Nigeria is Angwarimi and Malali. They have the biggest GRAs, bigger than Lagos, Ikoyi, and Victoria Island. Whenever there is crisis in Kaduna Metropolis, even if the crisis lasts for 2 weeks, 1 month, you will never see boys and girls in the GRA, Malali GRA or Angwarimi GRA, taking part in the protest or in the unrest. But the unrest has its headquarters in the ghetto areas, among the Talakawas. So you can now see that the economy plays a very important role in assuaging, in making sure that there is peace in the land. If the economy is not improving, whatever you are doing is nothing but half measure. So the radicalization approach may be right, but as long as the economy is not performing, those approaches in the radicalization cannot work perfectly well. That's for Antonio Sass. Then for Yemisi, the Lagos model of neighborhood watch is good. I am one of those people that campaign for state police. But people always misinterpret the issue of state police. They say that if you create state police, governors will use it against the opponents. That is correct. But then there are other benefits about state police. I support Amotekun. I support Amotekun as part of community policing. Then in the north, especially Kano, we have Hisba. In the east, we have ECN. So there is strong reason for the existence of Amotekun for Hisba and ECN. Until government creates state police that will take, because Nigeria is the only country, only federation or federal state that has only one police force. India, Australia, USA, Germany, these are federal states. Each of them has, like Canada, USA, each of them has federal police and state police. Why are we federal state? If we are practicing through federalism, there should be federal police and there should be state police. In the absence of state police, that's why we have Amotekun. That's why we have ECN. That's why we have Hisba. So there is need for state police. So the Lagos model of a neighborhood watch exists because there is no Lagos state police. And I am not against that model. That model is good because it performs a role that state police is supposed to perform. So there is need for state police in Nigeria because Nigeria practices federalism. Nigeria is the only country in the world that is a federal state without state police. Thank you.
I wanted to know about your views on the structure of the country itself.
Okay. Good. That brings us to the issue of restructuring. Just like as I said, that Nigeria is the only federal state in the world, like Canada, like USA, like Germany, like India, like Australia. But the way we lack state police, that is where we are deficit in other federal norms. People have been clamoring for true federalism, and I support them. But we are shying away from it because of selfish interests. Until we sit down to talk to ourselves and tell ourselves, look, that Lagos State supposed to generate this amount of money and use it to develop its own territory, that Ogun State supposed to generate this amount of money either through what do you call it when you say for instance, when you say beer, VAT, and use that VAT to develop its state. Until we we tell ourselves the truth and practice true federalism, we will continue to rigmarole. So if you want to know whether I support restructuring, yes, restructuring is overdue. Even the 1960 to 1966 federal system in Nigeria is better than what we have today as a federal state. So we should not shy away from having true federalism. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll take the next set of questions. Dr. Tafwa Balewa, ASA Agenda Development, and then Professor Nike Grinch. I'll take those three, and we'll take another set of three. Dr. Is it Jalil Tafwa Balewa? Go ahead.
Jalil.
Okay, Jalil. Go ahead, sir.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much, Professor Mbachu.
Thank you.
One of the things that I want to bring to the fore, you kind of couched your love for federalism until very recently when you say that you really like true federalism. The two states that you mentioned, Singapore and Rwanda, they have homogenized almost in their racial structure. Singaporeans are Indo-Asians. Most of the population of Rwanda are Tutsis. Now, it is a lot easier. If you look at China, 92% of their population is Han, and then you have 56 minorities making up 8%. Nigeria has such a slew of different ethnicities. It's really hard to rule. Now, the people that thought of zoning, the type of zones that we have, they tried, but really only two zones, the southeast and the southwest, are really what you can say is homogeneous. The others, especially in the north, we have a lot of minorities. But even if we start with that, with each zone being autonomous, and each one of the states within each zone to be able to contribute whatever it is to the zonal autonomy, I think we will have a much better restructured Nigeria that will work better. And since representatives can come from this zonal autonomes to the center, then they can choose the best of their own. No zone will say that they're marginalized that way because they're sending their best to the center. The military can be totally Nigerian. The police and other paramilitary can be totally Nigerian. The judiciary can be elected from each one of these zones, and so on and so forth. What I didn't understand is that if each zone is autonomous, they will be able to manage their own borders and whatever problems they have within the autonomous area. If that is the case, if we can restructure Nigeria in that way, there's no reason why we will have the case that you mentioned about Kaduna, from the GRA to the ghettos and the things like that. The police within will be able to know where the trouble spots are, and they will be able to control it way ahead of time. And having the Nigerian police is still important. Having county and state or city police, just like in the United States, can also be encouraged. Where do we get the money from? Money at the moment is extremely mismanaged by the individuals that we elected to manage them for us. But I think these autonomous zones will do a lot better because they will be closer to the people.
Okay, thank you very much for your contribution. Let me take ESA Agenda Development. Thank you very much, Dr. Tafawa Balewa. ESA Development Agenda, yeah, go ahead. Are you there? Okay, let's move on to Professor Nike Grange. Prof, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you, Professor Mbachu.
Thank you.
I always
Thank you,
like to listen to people of my own generation
thank you, ma.
who know the difference between the past and the present.
Thank you, ma.
Yes, I think one thing that you mentioned about impunity is what I would like to talk to. I think a problem, having elected the leaders, okay, we've elected wrong leaders, but having elected them, there doesn't seem to be any way of keeping them in check. So they get away with a lot of bad things that, insincerity of purpose, as you've said, and, and then they run away to other countries to enjoy what has been put in place in other countries, So it's not that they don't know what to do in Nigeria to make their country, stable and attractive for investment and to keep their human capital from fleeing from the country. So what is it that we have to do to make them know that they are responsible to us? That's a big problem. Well, we in the diaspora have been thinking, what if it is possible to stop them from leaving the country to go and enjoy elsewhere? Let them, let them stick in the mud with us rather than, going for abroad, flying abroad for treatment, etc., etc. But how can that happen? If you look at the history of China, it's been mentioned today. China had to close its borders before it developed its human resource, its infrastructure, etc. It's only after that it now opens up and say, look, okay, we want to go a bit capitalistic now. So there is something that we are not doing to make our people, our leaders, adhere to the rule of law which they themselves have laid down. And until we can get the solution to that, until we can find what we can do that we hold them accountable, I don't think that even changing the method of electoral process, etc., will give us that solution. So I would like to hear from you.
Thank you, ma.
Let me just say that we in the diaspora, we are thinking seriously about what we can do.
Prof, I have some few ideas we can share also, maybe after this call. So, Prof, do you want to take these comments and questions?
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir. Go ahead. Yeah.
First of all, I thank Dr. Jelly Tafawa Balewa. In fact, his comments, well, I don't call it questions. I like his comments because I share a great deal of his ideas. Restructuring is important, but it is still human beings that will run the show. So until we train the minds of our leaders, even restructuring would not go a long way. But why I mentioned the Kaduna GRA, as Malali and Angwarimi, is to buttress the importance of developed economy. Is to buttress the importance of economic development. As I said, whenever there is crisis in Kaduna, the children of the people in the GRA do not come out to destroy anything, do not come out to burn and destroy anything. The reason is that they are well off, they are taken good care of. But the Almajiris and the people in the ghetto, they serve as cannon fodder. That goes to show that if we want to get things right in Nigeria, we should start from the economy. China every year lifts up 14 million people from poverty. In Nigeria, do we lift up 14 million? Instead of lifting 14 million out of poverty, we pull down 14 million into extreme form of poverty. So, Dr. Tafawa Balewa, I agree with you. Then my sister, Professor Nike Grange, I also agree with you. What do we do when we have elected leaders and appointed leaders like ministers? First of all, if I should have my way, our elected leaders and appointed leaders, ministers, their children should be schooling in Nigeria. Their children should attend hospitals in Nigeria until they attend schools in Nigeria and go to Nigerian hospitals. The so-called ministers and elected leaders would not feel the pinch of what ordinary person in Nigeria is feeling. So that is also part of the electoral reform. That is also part of the political reform. How do we make our leaders to be servant leaders? How do we stop people from stealing money from Nigeria and go and lodge it elsewhere other than Nigeria? How do we make our people to know that Nigeria should be like any other OPEC country, any other oil-producing country? Nigeria is the only oil-producing country that has no good roads. Nigeria is the only, go to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and so on and so forth. Look at their roads. So, again, I agree with Dr. Tafawa Balewa that is not only democracy that produces good leaders. Saudi Arabia is not democratic. Qatar is not democratic. So many other Asian countries are not democratic. But why are they moving better than Nigeria? Why are they developing better than Nigeria? It boils down to human beings not adequately trained, not adequately prepared. China is not democratic in our own sense, but China is democratic by my own reckoning, because the most important form of democracy is the stomach infrastructure. Once you can take care of stomach infrastructure, the people are enjoying form of democracy. Democracy is not only when one man, one vote. No, not only that. China is not about one man, one vote, but China is ruled well. Thank you so much. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Prof. I think we have a few more hands, and we'll ask, is ESSA agenda still available? No. Okay, Pastor Funke Awolowo, and then Nelson Aluya, and then Jumoke Akintelo has some questions from the chat, which we will put forward to you as well. So, Pastor Funke, please go ahead.
All right, thank you. Good evening, and thank you, Prof, for answering all those questions, because there were questions on my mind as well. I want to say we've come full circle. I'm saying that from the point of view, I think I had this experience when I was 10, and I was sitting by a young lady in my classroom, and she told me that she was one of the daughters of our military personnel, and this is what happened. She was literally abandoned, and the family suffered a lot. And I think it was just last month, I was watching the same woman talk of her experience, how reluctant the Nigerian government had been in helping them when they needed them most. I know this story is the story of most of the people who actually were involved in the defense of Nigeria over time. And it's something that has affected the morale of the people that we're talking about right now to go out there and defend the nation, because there's no, for example, there's a saying that says, he who fights and runs away will live to fight another day. So, during Jonathan time, we saw them taking off their uniforms and ducking off, because at the end of the day, their family is not taken care of. And if they were to cut their losses or even see the advantages of defending a nation, is zilch. There's nothing to record. And the nation, Pastor Oita mentioned the willingness to actually combat these things is not there. And I'm asking, what can we do? For example, we will remember that Governor Akeredolu was so intentional. You know how much resistance he got in bringing about Amotekun. And but Amotekun has happened, and we see what they're doing, because was it a couple of months back, they had to defend the people who are trying to come and fight the farmers and all that. So it's working. I remember during the times of the late Chief Obafemi Awolowo, even though there was state police, but the people, I don't know if you know about the Agbekoya, the local police, were the ones that actually made Operation Wete, Koluba, and all those things. And they fought passionately. Why? Because their motivation, they understood the cause. And you mentioned something about training. I'm asking, have they optimized their style of training these people? Because if you go back to the 60s, you saw what happened with Fajui and the head of state then, when he said, if you're going to kill him, then kill me also. We don't have that spirit anymore. And I'm wondering, I just watched Germany, what happened in Nuremberg, how they killed, America came in and killed all the military. They were burnt, they were cremated, they were thrown into the sea to send the message. And if you see the commitment, even at the point of killing, someone was still saying, hi, Hitler. At the point of killing, was it Goebbels or Goring? He made sure that all his family died with the cause. There's no commitment on both sides, on the government side and the military side, the armed forces. There's no real commitment.
Are you sure as though no, object.
Okay, so
Sorry
we
about
need
that.
to go back
Let's connect to your phone.
patriotism, to our first
Connect
love,
to your phone.
to national interest. We need to teach it, and we need to, that moral has to be lifted. That's what I'm trying to say. And maybe you have more contributions, because we cannot highlight the problems and not like what Akeredolu did. He came and he died, giving us a solution. That's what I'm trying to say. What can we do? What are the new things? They've spoken of state police and all that. What can we do to make sure that these things, they're not mere talking about it, but we go to the next level to effect it? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So thank you, sir. And I'm going to take Dr. Nelson Aluya. Thank you, Pastor Funkel, for steering it back to security. Go ahead, Dr. Aluya.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. And thank you, Prof. Mbachu, for
Thank you. Thank you,
Doctor. Yes. And thank you all for, the African Leadership, Forum or Group 2 for putting this platform on. It's a great thing always, every week. Now, I begin by saying this. To fix a nation, you must first fix its people. but because it is from its people whence come its leaders, or the leaders emerge. Now, why am I saying this? And I'll begin by saying, for you to get the people engaged, to bring those kind of leaders, you must bring the government to the people. Because if you and I, if we take a picture here right now, the first thing you do when you look at that picture is to look for yourself. Now, if you don't see yourself, then you look for somebody who you will recognize. If you don't find the person you recognize, then you're not interested. And that's exactly what's been going on. So most people do not see themselves in government or governance, so they're not interested. But how do we begin to do that? First, we must begin to re-educate our people, re-inform them. And it has to begin from the grassroots. We're talking about state police. The same sequence of the things must begin at the grassroots level. And how do we begin to do that? One of the things, again, is to increase the same call local government autonomy that they begin to talk about. And that's one way, where you bring the government to the people, because then they begin to be responsible for their own people. But look, nobody understands and knows the people better than the local government chair or the councillor. They know better. Because everything comes from Abuja and everything is seen in Abuja, the chief inspector, the police person in this country is in Abuja. So you don't see yourself in that. So they do not even care. And because they do not care, the patriotism that my sister just talked about, it's not going to happen. When you don't see yourself as anything, you're not first not interested, and then you're disenfranchised. Now, when it talks to the police, what do you call it, state policing, look, at the end of it all, I know there'll be problems. People are afraid local government or governments will abuse it. After a while, it will evolve into where people begin to ask questions. And that's how it is. And it'll fix itself eventually. Things eventually do. Now, when it comes to employment and security issues, my brother, look, an idle hand is a devil's workshop, period. We know that. A lot of people are idle, smart, intelligent, and they're looking for places to exert that brilliance and the energy. Talent, when not utilized, will look for where it is most appreciated. And that's why you see a lot of people in droves running out of the country for those who cannot steal, who cannot join nefarious activities. And that's what you see. Now, how do we fix that? Something they did that in Somalia and Sudan, where back in days you hear these people in the highways, they used to go and the high seas, they waylay and hold ships and all that. How did they fix that problem? Because those guys were much radical than anything else. And I'll tell you what they did. Some people from the US were smart enough and said, look, let's attend to these people and see why they're all on the highways, holding up ships, and then demanding hundreds of millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars, when these people have never seen $100 in their eyes any day, anytime. The question was what? What do you guys need? We need jobs. I just need for money to be able to open up a store, a vulcanizer store, a mechanic store, or whatever. If I have that, I'll give this up. So the government and in deal with the US funded those issues for those young men in Somalia, and a lot of those things stopped. So these are things that are doable, and we can achieve them. I'm sure, like my sister said, from those in the diaspora, we're working on it, but we have to get engaged. In those of us in the diaspora, we have to get engaged in the local level. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those contributions. We're going to take one last hand, I think, from ASA Agenda. We've asked you to unmute a few times, and then we'll start to round up with the last questions from the chat. Go ahead, Dr. or Mr. Dominic Eriata, with your question. We've asked you to unmute. We've asked you to unmute. Please unmute and ask your question or make your comment. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You hearing me now? Am I on?
Yes,
now?
we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you, the professor, Isaac Mbachu. Sorry if I can't pronounce your name properly.
Hmm.
Where you have a detailed analysis of what we have to do, but there are still a caveat to it. What are the caveats? I will be suggesting, or I will be asking, why is it that those generals who are put at the forefront to be fighting for us have not been jailed? That's one. Two, why is it that those professors who purported to have said they've conducted our election have not been jailed? Because we know where their money are. I don't hide my mouth because I'm based in England. I can give them my details. So why have they not been jailed? Because we know where their family in US. We know where their money is. We know what they are doing. Because these are the people holding us to ransom. Then two, how about the politicians who are hobnobbing with the Boko Harams, giving them money? You can see the money in the internet. That is an oxygen for recruitment. Because these young boys are seeing that humongous amount of money. What do you think they will do next? Why they are hungry? Then they will look for alternative. These are the areas that we should look into. One, we have somebody like Mark Egeni, who have been in cycle. Nobody want to talk about him, maybe because he's from minority background. That's what I feel. And that guy have demonstrated over the year that he will be willing and able to jail his own mother. But when it comes to that, they will tell him to go and retire as quickly as possible. Then I will equally align with the other person who mentioned that it would have been better we try as much as possible to bring in community policing. It's not going to end up there. In those states where I come from, there's something we call Egboluge. Egboluge are age group. And I remember those days. That's where we have to deculturize what the Westerners have brought to us and reculturize by bringing something called Egboluge, age group. And you have elderly people controlling them, street to street. What do? If I don't come to wheat on maybe each a month, then they will send somebody to go and kill a far away from me. So let's turn that and consolidate on it by saying this age group, they are truthful because we have a way of putting them to check. Let the government profile all of them. We have 192 wards in Edo State. When you then profile them, 192 wards, you then say, okay, this is what we are going to give to them. This is the ammunition, the elderlies and the pastors and their age group as well, who were senior, had to coordinate the ammunition given to this guy and put them inside our bushes to fumigate those who are trying to take our country over. Then those guys who have gotten billions that you cannot be accounted for, there are ways to check them. We put them on check as well. All their money are in Western world. We know where their money are. If you call me to come and give it, we will come. But not when they are dead. Then all of us will begin to shout, hey, go and get 1 naira, go and get 2 naira. Whereas now we now know that these guys are with our money. What are we doing? Including pastors and clerics. These are the people who are falling our hands. Why can't we form like civil servants? Do we know those who are decent among us, as we are doing now? We make it on a larger way of doing things. Lastly, sir, there's something I want to quickly chip in.
Please,
Which
30
pains my
seconds.
heart.
30
Let's say the
seconds.
Northerners, all the media homes. I don't see enough Northerners inside. I'm not from North. I'm from Edo State. We want to see the age group so that they can tell us what is happening there. Let AIT, let arise. Let them feed the the Northerners inside, the young ones and the elderly ones, so that there will be balanced reportage. This is my concern. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. So go ahead, sir, if you can take all those comments or address all those comments, and we'll take the last three questions from the chat. Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you, ma. From Pastor Funka Wolowo. Thank you, ma. I'm sure you must be a granddaughter of Awolowo. Thank you. I agree with you, especially what Governor Akeredolu did in bringing about Amotekun. And honestly speaking, Amotekun is doing a wonderful job. And that is why I have been insisting on state police. If you can transform Amotekun to state police, Tell me how criminals and terrorists will be killing people in the West. No, they will try it. So Pastor Funke emphasized on the issue of integrity and patriotism. That is what I call sincerity of purpose. Sincerity of purpose, I've been hammering on it. Men and women with integrity, men and women that cherish patriotism. So, Pastor Funke Awolowo, I thank you so much for harping on that. Then, Dr. Nelson Aluya, fixing the nation, we must first of all fix the individuals. That is true. That is correct. When you hear that China lifts 14 million people out of poverty every year, that is the meaning of fixing people. When China lifts 14 million people out of poverty every year, they have fixed those people, and those people will in turn fix the government. Those people will in turn fix the state. So I agree with you, Dr. Nelson. We must fix our people. We must deliver the stomach infrastructure. We must train our mind, train the minds of people, and they will behave very well. Then Asian agenda, the caveat, you said that why some people have not been jailed. Well, we have justice system in this country. That our justice, criminal justice system, if it is working well, it will take care of what is suggested. This question is, our criminal justice system, is it working fine? During the electoral crisis, is it working fine? That is what all of us will have to look into. So I'm not in a position to say who should be jailed or who should not be jailed. I'm not in a position to say that, but we have a criminal justice system that would look into that. That's all I have to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, we have a couple of questions from the chat that is directly related to security. And so I want us to close with those questions, because that's really the topic at hand, the insecurity with a lot of the killings around the country, kidnapping, and just the mayhem that insecurity is causing around the country, which again affects investment and national development. So if we could take this last questions, and Mr. Omonuwa, I see your hand up. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to ask your question after I read this comments. So one of the comments is from Ms. Adejoke on the platform. In order to curtail the excesses of the security agency in Nigeria with the unfortunate it has moved. So basically, she was talking about an incident that, sorry, it just slipped off and I'm trying to get it back from the chat room. She was talking about an incident that happened in Oyo State a couple of days ago, and who should carry guns and what should be the mindset of the people that carry these guns. Then the other question, is PCRC a welcome idea for community policing? Then one other question that came on the chat earlier on was from, she was talking about I think I have it here. So 1 second, let me just get it here because the chats have slipped off. And her question was, how do we eradicate insecurity when some of the perpetrators are being rewarded with chieftaincy title instead of being punished? So those are the questions that we have from the chat room. And if you could take those, maybe I should just ask Mr. Omonuwa to ask his question. Again, I'm going to give you 30 seconds, sir, because of time, to just ask your question. And sir, if you can take all of these along with your closing remark, and then we'll begin to close. Thank you. Mr. Omonuwa, please go ahead with your question. We've asked you to unmute.
Ms. Jimoke, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to ask this question. I know about the security in Nigeria that is really tough, but how can we improve or encourage our law enforcement? Because in every government, law enforcement, they are the government. They should be paying more money, I believe, to their jobs so that when their job being threatened, they'll be afraid. I think, what do you think about increasing the law enforcement money instead of creating other local state police? I'm not with that state police, but how are we going to improve our law enforcement? Because law enforcement are the government, army, air force. Those are those are those are government. So not those lawmakers and all these. Because without security, there will be no government.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So you have all the questions, sir? Or is there anyone that you want me to clarify?
Yeah, the one, the last, the one from Adejoke. How do we eradicate what?
How do we no, that's from Zainab. Zainab said, how do we eradicate insecurity if the perpetrators are being rewarded with titles instead of being punished?
Okay.
And Ms. Adejoke's question was with carrying guns. And I'm trying to find the question in the chat. I think I lost it there. But basically, she was referring to an incident that happened in Oyo State a couple of days ago. And so it's more like citizens' defense. Here we go.
Good.
I found it. And she says, what should be the state of mind of the gun carriers, of the gun carrier? Someone posted it. Thank you. Bring it up. Ooh. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In
Thank you
order
very
to
much.
curtail the excesses of the Nigerian security agencies with the unfortunate incident that happened in Ibadan or your state 2 days ago, who should carry guns? And what should be the state of the gun carrier? State of mind of the gun carrier.
Thank you very much. Yeah, who should carry gun? Let me give you an example of USA. In USA, according to the First Amendment, every citizen is entitled to carry gun. And of course, you should know why Americans have it in their constitution right from time. When the Europeans discovered America, it was a wide west. The Indians killed them so much, so they had to be carrying gun and enshrined that right into their constitution. I believe we are getting closer to that situation that took place in America more than 200 years ago. Because recently, General T.Y. Danjuma even advised his people to protect themselves by any means, including carrying guns. And I agree with him, because things are getting out of hand, that very soon citizens will be empowered to carry guns to protect themselves. Okay, having said that, Zainab said, how do we eradicate the issue of some people that committed crimes being rewarded with chieftaincy title? Yes. Do you know that in Nigeria of today, some politicians, because of their wealth, were voted into position of authority? That is some criminals in Nigeria. So it's not, I mean, it's not strange that people of questionable character are always rewarded with chieftaincy title. Innocent people and people of good character, they hardly have that kind of money that would give the chieftaincy title, or even make them to be elected to the National Assembly. So everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. Finally, from Omolua, how can we increase the salary of security agents? I agree with you. In fact, salary of security agents in Nigeria, the Army, Navy, Air Force, SS, Police, Civil Defense, name them, should be increased. Yes, if we have fast salaries for senators and members of the Federal House of Assembly, why shouldn't we increase the salaries of security agents that stake their lives for our protection? I agree with you. Let us work out through the National Assembly and increase the salary of all the security agents in Nigeria. That's what I have to say in response to Omolua. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time. So we are coming to a close. If you could give us your closing remarks, and I know in your presentation you started to speak about recommendations, and a lot of people have also added their comments on the way forward. So if you were given an opportunity to write a security plan or a plan to address insecurity in Nigeria, what would that plan be? What would the strategy be? And let it also involve citizens, right? So what would the citizens need to do to help address this insecurity or curb this insecurity? So if you could add that as part of your closing remark.
Thank you, ma'am. First, political solution. Second, economic solution. Third, social/cultural solution. Let's start from political solution. From political solution, ma'am, there should be electoral reform and institutionalizing electronic form of voting. We don't want to hear that there was technical glitches again. Let the best of us rule the rest of us. Is it clear? Let the best of us rule the rest of us at political level. Economic level. An angry man, a hungry man is an angry man. Our leaders should harness our resources for the benefit of common man. Nigeria is very rich. Nigeria is too rich to be poor and too poor to be rich. But first of all, Nigeria is too rich to be poor. So if our politicians and leaders and everybody involved should manage our resources well, we have no reason to borrow. We have no reason to go hungry. We have no reason to have poor people among us. So the economy is very, very important. Once we get the economy well, look, the recruitment of miscreants, the recruitment of criminals, terrorists will be very difficult. So the economy is very, very important. Whoever that is in charge, all of us that are in charge, should make sure that the economy is put in order. Once we get the economy right, the issue of insecurity, the issue of terrorism, the issue of, that's why in my theoretical framework, I chose frustration aggression theory. So that's it. Then at cultural level, social cultural level, I agree with our man that talked about fixing human beings, fixing Dr. Nelson Aluya. We have to fix human beings in Nigeria first, because if you don't fix human beings, all we are doing here amounts to nothing. Training is very, very important. Training, education, quality education is very important. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, all of us were so religious, either Christians or Muslims. But let me tell you, the most honest people in Nigeria, they are those practicing African traditional religion. They are the honest people. But those of us practicing Christianity and Islam, that is where we have a bunch of corrupt people. So training, educational training, quality education is very, very important. And is it psychological training? What is it? Attitudinal formation, attitudinal training is very important. Nowadays, let me give you an example. Parents send their children to miracle centers to pass WAEC. If you send a child to miracle center to pass WAEC, what type of child are you training? When he grows up, of course, he will always be looking for quick fix. That is it. So sometimes we parents look at everywhere now, we have Yahoo, Yahoo. Yahoo, Yahoo. Parents encourage their children, in fact, buy phone for their children to be practicing Yahoo, Yahoo, duping people. Forgetting that every money you collect from people abroad must have spiritual consequences. So many people are getting mad in Nigeria. Why are they getting mad? So that is all I have to say in my concluding remark.
Thank you, sir. And I'm going to crave your indulgence one more time, because one of my chiefs here asked the question that I forgot to ask, and he is the engine room of this Zoom, so I cannot but ask his question. What kind of political system will ensure good governance, like the Rwanda and Singaporean style? We talk a lot about it, and because this current democracy of four-year term is not enough. So what kind of political system will ensure good governance? Like we've been talking about Rwanda, Singapore, and all that. How will that work in Nigeria?
Thank you very much, man. There's what we call pragmatism. Pragmatism means that whether a cat is white or black is immaterial. The most important thing is that the cat catches mouse. So Singapore may not be a true democracy in the American style or British style. Rwanda may not be a true democracy a la Americana or Britannica. But these two countries govern their people very well, and their people are progressing, and their people are very, very happy. China is not democratic in Western definition, but China is doing wonderfully well. Let me give you an example. Every year, mark my word, 200 million Chinese travel abroad for vacation, holiday. 200 million. Travel to Asia, America, Europe, Africa. And every year, those 200 million return back to China. Why? They return back because their system is working well for them. If their system is not working well, 200 million, when they travel abroad, they will disappear from there. Japa that we are suffering from Nigeria now. If you open gates and ask Nigerians to Japa, do you think that they will come back? Not even one will come back to Nigeria, unless me, that I love Nigeria so much. So, pragmatism. The most important is that whoever that is in power or the government in power, let them achieve greatness for Nigeria. Let them make Nigerians to be happy. Let them improve the economy. Let them improve the educational system of Nigeria. Let them change the mindset of Nigerians from criminality to being useful citizens. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. We can't thank you enough for your time on the platform today and for such insightful conversation we've had. Your presentation And we're very grateful that you made time to speak with us today and to speak with Nigerians on the security issues and the role we can play. I'm going to take some announcement, and I'm going to also invite you to be part of what we're doing here at the Africa Leadership Group. You talked a lot about reorientation and the followership, and that's one of our, I would say, our core or passion in terms of how do we begin to reorientate the minds of Nigerians that would become the good followership out of us, these good leaders that we are looking for will emerge, because the leaders from a society are the society. You cannot, an apple tree cannot bear orange trees. So we do have a School of Leadership and Governance, and we have a Citizens Responsibility course that we teach. And we developed an initiative that we're going to be rolling out towards the end of the year. And Mr. President will speak more about that next week. So we're looking for professors, volunteers. We don't want to monetize every passion and commitment to bringing about change. So we'll be inviting you and everyone else that is interested in this change for us to put our hands together, build that coalition or collaboration of patriots that are going to rebuild this country. So thank you so much, sir. We're glad we could have you. Unfortunately, our principal had to step away for another appointment. So he's sending his regards, and I'm sure you'll get a thank you note from us at the end of this. And the second thing that I want to invite everyone, it is so good to see some of our faithful participants. Auntie Olabamibo, good to have you back. Please never leave. Your presence here you've always been with us from the get-go. Colonel Fadile, welcome. We are glad to have you. And so many, Auntie Biodun Shoyombo, every one of you that have come back to the platform. We can only do this together, and we are so grateful for your participation here on this platform. Next week, we're celebrating ALG at 5, and it is a big deal. We started this conversation dialogue on nation building 2020, and so our 5 years was on the 14th of May, and we're going to be sharing our journey so far, how far we've come. By the grace of God, God has really brought us far, and with collaboration and support of every one of you on this platform. So next week, please make it a date to be here. Our keynote speaker is no other than our principal. So he's probably going to be on the hot seat a little bit next week. Same time, same Zoom link, 5 p.m. We will be here to talk more about ALG at 5 and what the next 5 years looks like for us. So we invite you to please join us. There's so much going on. Leadership training should include elective resource management using local resources. Thank you, Mommy Grange. I see you'll be taking that module on this new course, but thank you all, everyone, for joining us this evening. We are very glad that you could join us. I also put in the chat room a link for you to fill out the form if you are interested in engaging with ALG. It's all hands on deck. This is not a solo journey. It's something that we can do together. There are more of us than there are more of them. There are more good people in Nigeria than there are corrupt people. So we binding together, we're the ones that can bring about the change that we need for our beloved country. So again, thank you. Have a very good evening. And we will see you next week, celebration, ALG at 5. Continue to pray for God to sustain this organization and many other organizations that are doing great things. And I want us to also take time to remember our brothers and sisters that are suffering at the hand of insecurity, those that their communities have been ravaged, those that have lost their loved ones. Let us always remember them in our prayers. They are not far from us. They are our brothers and our sisters, and we cannot forget them. So let's just remember them. Our heart goes out to those in the Northeast, in the Northwest, in Borno, in Plateau, in Zamfara, in Southern Kaduna, in places that we don't even know their names, but are being ravaged by terrorists, in Katsina, in Kenkia, in much everywhere that these terrorists have been destroying communities and taking the lives of our brothers and sisters. That's what they are, because they are Nigerians and they are our neighbors. So let's continue to remember them and pray for restoration of peace in our land. So God bless you all. Thank you again. Have a very good evening, and we will see you here next week. And the link, I'm going to just share the Zoom, the flyer for next week. Please share it with your network. We want everyone to join us in celebrating our 5 years. So if you didn't get this flyer, the Zoom link is the same. We use the same Zoom link every week. Same Zoom link every week. ALG at 5. So look forward to having you all next week. God bless you and have a very good evening. Again, Prof, thank you, sir. We are glad you could join us, and we would be definitely reaching out to you to see where the opportunities are for us to work together.
Thank you. Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Have a good evening, everyone. God bless you.
God bless you.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to stop the Zoom. I think we've asked everyone to unmute. Usually we have like well wishes at the end of each session. So please go ahead and unmute and share whatever comments you may have.
Yeah, Prof.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jumoke. Thanks, Prof.
Thank you, Ma.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
See you next week.
Prof, I was
Thank you,
going
Mommy.
you raised an
Thank
issue
you,
at the
Prof.
your last issue you raised.
Yeah.
My conscience about strategic spiritual intelligence to fight insecurity in Nigeria. It just I have it in my mind, and it looks as if we are thinking the same way.